That way you guys can better learn and then better assess how to implement the products for yourselves and for others. All right. So, um, Dom, go ahead.
Yeah, so thank you, Matt. My name is Dominic Kuza. Some of you guys know me, some of you guys might not. But I've been coaching for about 7, 8 years now. I recently joined Camp Jansen last year, and then now I'm the brand educator for Raw and Revive. And then I work a little bit on the formulation side of things. So one of the main goals was after like talking with Matt and just trying to figure out what we could do as far as helping everybody was doing some education for our athletes. A lot of our athletes are coaches too. So a big part that we felt that this would help with is educating you guys to maybe even help your clientele more, break down the supplements a little bit better for you guys. So you're able to explain it to people who just might not have that same knowledge threshold as yourselves. So that's the goal of these. I would appreciate any type of feedback that you guys have after this call. They might seem, pretty intense, but I will do my absolute best to explain things as simply as possible. I do a lot of education and mentorship for coaches today. So I run an entire education program as well. So to jump in, just so I don't waste too much of your guys' time today, my goal today was to get into talking about GI education because we do sell a lot of GI products. And I wanted to start with something that's usually the most common, and that's acid reflux. We do see a lot of acid reflux in our lifestyle clients and our day to day as athletes. So, what is acid reflux? Acid reflux is sometimes known as GERD, which is gastroesophageal reflux disease, and it's a condition where acidic contents end up back into your esophagus. At the bottom of your stomach, where your esophagus and the stomach meet, we do have a ring of muscle there that normally prevents that backflow. Now, when people have acid reflux, that sphincter is usually weakened or relaxed. So the acid sometimes backs back up into the esophagus. Now, a big key that I like to point out to people with acid reflux is that it doesn't always have to be heartburn. Acid reflux could be presented as chest pain, regurgitation, difficulty swallowing. There's a lot of different symptoms that we could associate acid reflux with. Now, when it comes to causes, a big cause can be just a shift in pressure in the stomach, which can result from obesity with the excess of weight that could weaken the ability of the sphincter. Hiatal hernias are hernias that actually cause a portion of the stomach to bulge upward through the diaphragm, and that can move the sphincter up into the chest and reduce its effectiveness. Acid reflux is really common in pregnancy because of the hormonal changes, and then obviously the pressure on the abdomen, and that can cause the lower esophageal sphincter to relax and remain open. Some medications can also cause this. Smoking can weaken the sphincter and increase the risk of acid reflux. And then probably one that's pretty common with a lot of people is alcohol and caffeine content, because alcohol and caffeine kind of hit us in two directions. They can weaken the sphincter, allowing acid reflux, but also in some people will actually see an increase in production of stomach acid. So not only is the sphincter not working properly, but we're also seeing potentially an increase in stomach acid as well. So kind of a visual of what that looks like. That sphincter is at the bottom of the esophagus where we meet the stomach. And then changes in pressure are one of the main reasons why the sphincter gets weakened and then causes backflow. Now, how do we apply this to now kind of like our products at Revive? We have cells in our stomach lining that are called peroteal cells. These cells exist in the gastric glands in our stomach lining, and they're responsible for making hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is extremely important for digestion because it does a few different things. One, it takes pepsinogen, which is a zymogen, so it's almost like an inactive enzyme, and activates it into pepsid. And then hydrochloric acid can unravel proteins. When it comes to like protein structure, I want you guys to think about like a piece of paper and crumbling it up. And in order for us to get into the bonds to help break that protein up, we need to open that piece of paper and unravel it. And that's what hydrochloric acid helps with. And then another really important factor that these cells also provide is they produce what's called intrinsic factor. And that's necessary for vitamin B12 absorption, which is really important for red blood cell formation. Now, peritoneal cell health is very crucial because impairments to these cells can cause a lot of impact on digestion and nutrient absorption. Now, a lot of you are really familiar with low stomach acid, right? We usually associate heartburn and acid reflux with actually insufficient amounts of stomach acid being made. Really common symptoms for your clientele, for your friends, your family, what could be like a symptom of low stomach acid. Bloating and cramping, constipation is extremely common with low stomach acid. As stomach acidity issues continue, we start to see a lot of malabsorption. So we might start seeing weak cracking nails, hair thinning, and other malabsorption issues that could start to manifest on blood work as well. So if we look at one really big common issue that a lot of people have is the overuse of a PPI, which is a proton pump inhibitor. An example of this is like Zantac, Pepcid, Prilosec, right? People use these medications on a day-to-day to control their acid reflux. Now, in the short term, they work really well. They do help with the symptoms of acid reflux because they also do provide some inflammation relief that causes the pain. But a problem with these proton pump inhibitors and using these for a long term, we start to see what's called peritoneal cell dysfunction. And when these cells become dysfunctional, we start to make less and less stomach acid. Now, if we need to look at potentially what to do next, we might need to come off of these PPIs, discontinue it, and then supplement with hydrochloric acid and also zinc carnosine. Now, the reason why low stomach acid can cause a lot of acid reflux problems is because low stomach acid can lead to an overgrowth of bacteria in the stomach and in the small intestine. It also leads to a delay in gastric emptying, and it also disrupts the signaling to close that sphincter. And then we see an increase in pressure, push reflux back into the esophagus. Another really big problem is now that we don't have enough stomach acid, we're going to see incomplete digestion of protein due to low stomach acid, and that can trigger immune responses and a lot of inflammation inside the esophagus. Now, not only do we see low stomach acid impairing the release of digestive enzymes, but we will start to see it actually exacerbate the symptoms that people have with their acid reflux. Really common tests you could do. So let's say you guys have a friend or a client or somebody's just suffering from some acid reflux problems. You could have them do an at-home stomach acidity test. And what you do is you take a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, mix it in 6 ounces of water, set a timer. If it takes them longer than 5 minutes to burp, their stomach acid could be low. The reason for that is when you take baking soda and mix it with acid, it should make carbon dioxide and make somebody burp. So if they don't burp fast enough, then there could be insufficient stomach acid production. It's a really quick and easy way to look at potentially what we might need to do next. This is where zinc carnosine shines, right? This is a product that we carry. It's a dietary supplement that takes zinc and the amino acid dipeptide carnosine. And we do see a lot of good benefits with the health of the stomach lining and the mucosa. So we do see the growth and repair of the stomach lining, and that can reduce the risk of acid and other irritants. We also see anti-inflammatory properties from zinc carnosine to help reduce inflammation in the stomach lining, which might help alleviate some symptoms that somebody might be dealing with. And then we also will see production of mucus in the stomach, which is going to help aid in a protective barrier. Zinc is also going to help with wound healing and immune function. So we do see a lot of really good support from the zinc actually healing potentially peritoneal cells if these cells become dysfunctional, maybe because somebody's been using a PPI for too long, for example. So zinc carnosine really shines in helping the cells in our stomach lining return to more optimal function. That's a big reason why we use that in GI health. And then betaine is a supplement that we carry as well. Betaine is a dietary supplement that is hydrochloric acid. So it's pretty much a supplemental form of hydrochloric acid, which is going to help with the unraveling of proteins, the activation of pepsinogen to pepsin, and it's also going to help with any potential like bugs you might have ate with your food and helping kill that, because one thing hydrochloric acid does as well is it acts as a deterrent to foreign objects that you might have consumed. Betaine will provide supplemental hydrochloric acid. One big mistake a lot of people make with betaine, they take it maybe once, and then they take it maybe once, and then they think it kind of covers them for the day. This is something that needs to be taken with meals. This isn't something that you take just once or twice a day. I would take this with meals because it will help improve the absorption of a lot of key nutrients like iron, calcium, and vitamin B12. So an example protocol that we could potentially do, 2 to 3 betaine per meal with people who are suffering from acid reflux that is caused by low stomach acid, 10 to 20 grams of glutamine per day, and about 2 to 3 zinc carnosine capsules per day. Let's say you guys have a friend, a family member, a client who needs to fix some long-term PPI use. We don't tell people to just get off PPIs right away. We want to titrate them down and reduce things half weekly until there's no more PPI in the plan. And then alongside that, we're going to use betaine to support stomach acidity, and we're also going to use zinc carnosine to help repair those peritoneal cells. Now, the gastrointestinal tract does have multiple layers to it, and I wanted to speak on this because we see products like glutamine, we have products like GI Plus, and that has a lot to do with the GI tract itself. So if we look at the different layers of the GI tract, we have the mucosa, which is the innermost layer. This has exocrine cells that secrete digestive enzymes and endocrine cells that secrete hormones. We have the submucosa, which is a supportive layer of blood vessels, the muscularis externa, which is responsible for all the GI tract movements, and then the serosa, which is the outermost layer. The really big key functions here in the GI tract, we see aiding in digestion by releasing substances into the GI tract, and then regulation of digestion through hormone secretion. Also, a very big presence of immune functionality is inside of the GI tract. We have gut-associated lymphoid tissue, which is actually the largest collection of immune cells in the body. And this is really crucial for a localized immune response because the GI tract employs a very intricate immune system. We have multiple different immune cells present in the GI tract. We have leukocytes, plasma cells, natural killer cells, and macrophages. We also have mucosal immunity that we're looking at. So we see a lot of the tissue here working to prevent pathogens from entering the bloodstream while preserving the balance of beneficial bacteria. Now, one really common thing that we see with people is constipation, right? What is constipation? It's just it's a common gastrointestinal issue that's characterized by infrequent bowels, difficulty passing stools, and a sensation of incomplete evacuation. So how does constipation affect gut motility? Gut motility refers to the movement of the digestive system that facilitates the transit of food and waste through the GI tract. Constipation indicates a slowdown in this process, particularly in the colon, where we see waste material being prepared for elimination. When the transit time is prolonged, water continues to be absorbed from the stool, making it harder and more difficult to pass. Now, the problem with constipation is that the slower things take to get excreted, the longer we are exposed to toxins, and also we start to see an impact on our bacterial balance because of that. Slow transit times are usually associated with constipation, can lead to an overgrowth in pathogenic bacteria. So this harmful bacteria can thrive when the elimination of waste is delayed, and that could potentially outcompete our beneficial bacteria, which leads to what's called dysbiosis. So gut motility is really important for maintaining a very diverse microbial community and regularly introducing new substrates for bacteria to feed on and just removing waste products and toxins. Because a really big problem that we start to see as waste material accumulates is the toxic substances that have more time to be reabsorbed into the bloodstream, which then can trigger inflammatory responses. So an overgrowth of pathogenic bacteria or bad bacteria can stimulate the immune system to respond to a perceived threat, essentially. This is called a localized inflammation in the gut. Chronic inflammation then compromises the integrity of the gut barrier, and then that can lead to what's called intestinal permeability, or something that a lot of you are probably really familiar with is leaky gut. And that is then going to allow bacteria and toxins to cross into the bloodstream more easily. We do sell a product at Revive called Gut Health Plus. Gut Health Plus is designed to help balance gut bacteria by reducing the growth of pathogenic bacteria and yeast to help restore a healthier balance of gut microbiota. It does have also some anti-inflammatory properties, and some of these ingredients can help soothe the gut lining. So we have caprylic acid, which is found in medium chain triglycerides, and it's known for its antifungal properties, particularly against things like candida. We have thyme, which is an antimicrobial, and that can help manage the overgrowth. Oregano extract is very common and is a very strong antimicrobial. And milk thistle is also seen here to support healthy liver function, to help with the detoxification process. And then lemon balm is something that we look at for helping relieve people with cramping or gas that's usually associated with overgrowths. The one note that I would make about Gut Health Plus is overuse of the product or misuse of the product can lead to further imbalances or potentially negate beneficial effects. Fiber is a big thing that we sell here at Revive, right? We look at our fiber product. It has 7 grams of dietary fiber, and that's composed of 2 grams of soluble fiber. For those of you who might not be familiar, soluble fiber absorbs water and forms a gel-like substance, and that can help soften stool and make it easier to pass. It's also really helpful in moderating blood sugar levels and lowering cholesterol because of its ability to bind bile to the stool. Insoluble fiber adds bulk to the stool and is very effective at alleviating constipation. It helps speed up the passage of food and waste through the gut, reducing the likelihood. The 2 sources of fiber that we use also in the product is oat flour and psyllium husk. Leaky gut is something that we hear a lot about. This is also known as intestinal permeability. This is a condition where the lining of the small intestine becomes damaged and allowing undigested food particles and toxins to leak into our bloodstream. So the lining of the small intestine usually acts as a barrier, and that prevents harmful substances from entering the bloodstream. However, when the lining is damaged, that's where it becomes more permeable and we start to see these things pass through into our bloodstream. Now, if we look at potentially helping somebody with leaky gut, an example protocol that I would do is something like glutamine, 10 to 20 grams per day. That's for mucosal lining repair. I would like to use a probiotic here as well, just to support digestion and immune function. Zinc Carnosine can help with mucosal lining repair as well. I would also use Turmeric Plus because there is a lot of inflammation associated with leaky gut, and we can use Turmeric Plus for inflammation control. And then GI Plus I would use as well to support our immune function, our lining, and our microbiome balance. If you look at these products individually, Probiotic is a blend of 5 different strains of probiotics. And what we look at is here we have Lactobacillus rhamnosus, which is going to help with the ability to help the gut barrier function and support the immune system. Lactobacillus paracassis is going to help with improving digestion and enhance our response to a pathogen, which is going to help from an immune function standpoint. And then Streptococcus thermophilus, we're going to see this is actually something that's produced used in the production of yogurt, and this could help with lactose digestion. Lactobacillus acidophilus is going to be a very common probiotic we see in a lot of plants or in a lot of products that can help balance the gut microbiome. And when we see using a product like this, we're doing this to help enhance immune function in the gut, maintain a good balance of intestinal flora, and just support digestive health along the way. GI Plus is a product that we sell to promote the integrity of the gastric lining because it can encourage the growth of mucosal cells. So we see lecithin and acethacan, which is going to help gastric protection. we have apple pectin and green tea extract that can help feed bacteria. We have arabinogalactans that can help produce short-chain fatty acids. And then we also have some targeted antioxidants that can help with gastric mucosa and are just in the product to help bolster immune function in the GI tract. So GI Plus is kind of a multifaceted product where we're looking at a few things with what we're trying to get out of it. One is gut lining protection, helping balance our gut microbiome, and then aiding in an immune function response. Turmeric Plus is a product that we sell that's designed to support joint health, reduce inflammation, and provide antioxidant benefits. A big reason why Turmeric Plus is really beneficial for GI issues is when we see GI issues, we usually can control those, we usually see those a lot of the times associated with inflammation. So Turmeric Plus is something that I would use a good bit in any type of protocol to help somebody with a gut problem. Turmeric Plus is a pretty interesting supplement because it has multiple different anti-inflammatories. We have curcumin here, which is this C3 complex specifically is a very potent form of turmeric extract. That is shown to reduce inflammation. We have ginger extract also in the product. Boswellia is another very strong anti-inflammatory that can help with joint mobility and also just with a really nice control on reducing inflammation. We have ALA present in the product as well that can help from an antioxidant standpoint because usually we see inflammation also increasing oxidative stress. And this is a good product that can help reduce oxidative stress and support metabolic functions. We have bioperin in here, which is a patented form of black pepper fruit extract. And this actually enhances the bioavailability and the absorption of curcumin. So we see actually a really big impact on the absorption and the availability of curcumin when that is present in a product. Digest Aid is our blend of enzymes that we sell that can aid digestion of a lot of different nutrients. It's a blend of multiple different digestive enzymes. So we have amylase that can help break down carbs into simple sugars. We have protease that can help digest proteins into amino acids, lipase, which will break down fats into fatty acids and glycerol. We also have cellulase in here, which can help the digestion of cellulose, which is a plant fiber, and lactase to support the breakdown of lactose. We also have papain and bromelain, which are going to help with the digestion of proteins and can potentially reduce inflammation. Artichoke leaf extract is in this product as well, which can improve bile flow and support fat digestion. And then Ganeshan root extract is something that can stimulate digestive function and really improve the symptoms of indigestion. This is a really good product or really good ingredient that can help with any of those feelings that like some people get like when they eat and after they eat, they kind of feel like almost like food is stuck in their like esophagus. That's a really good product that can help with that symptom of indigestion. A really big reason why we like to use digestive enzymes in gut health issues is while we are trying to fix a gut health problem, it's pretty imperative that we aid digestion as much as we can so the body doesn't have to work as hard while we're trying to fix the problem that we're dealing with at the same time. So that's where enzymes can come pretty in handy. Glutamine, a lot of you are really familiar with glutamine. It's an amino acid that is very abundant in the body and in dietary sources. It plays a really big role in the integrity and the function of the GI tract because it's a fuel source for the cells inside of the intestines. I like to tell people glutamine is like protein powder for your muscle cells. That's how it acts with your gastrointestinal cells, your GI tract cells, because it helps strengthen the gut barrier. It helps reduce the risk of it helps reduce the risk of leaky gut and fixes things like leaky gut, which can reduce harmful substances and pathogens from entering the bloodstream. So the GI tract is, we also see a really big immune system activation in the GI tract, and that's where glutamine can aid a lot in the proliferation of immune cells within the gut, which means it just helps the body's ability fight off infections and inflammation. So glutamine really shines in the GI tract. Some issues that we see with people is fat digestion. That's really common as well. Some of you might even deal with some fat digestion issues. There's a few things that it could be linked to. One, it could be pancreatic insufficiency. The pancreas secretes enzymes that are essential for fat digestion. If the pancreas isn't functioning properly or is damaged in any way, it might not make these enzymes properly. So Digest Aid would be a good example of a product to probably put into the plan to help just assist with people who have pancreatic insufficiency. Gallbladder stores and releases bile, which is necessary. So if the gallbladder is ever diseased or even removed, right, we're not going to release enough bile to properly digest fats. And then one that we see really commonly is liver disease. The liver produces bile, and if the liver is ever damaged or diseased, we might not produce enough bile to digest fats. On the pancreas insufficiency, the pancreas does two main jobs. It releases enzymes and it releases hormones. And when it comes to pancreas and pancreatic digestive enzymes, approximately 50% of all carbs and protein and about 80 to 90% of your ingested fat is actually digested by enzymes that are released by the pancreas. So in cases where somebody might have a little bit of pancreatic enzyme release issues, that's where a the Digest Aid would be very helpful there. Now, we do have some pretty more on the side of our liver. Cholestasis is a medical condition that sometimes we see with disruption in the flow of bile. Cholestasis is a little bit more extreme and a little bit more rare, but it is usually the result of liver inflammation over time, liver scarring, liver damage over time. So whenever we see liver inflammation, liver damage, that can potentially damage the liver and hurt our disruption in the flow of bile. The biggest thing we see here, because let's be honest, right, a lot of us are competitors or in the world of bodybuilding, oral anabolic steroids are usually a very big cause for liver issues that could potentially lead to a disruption in flow of bile. Anabolics can be pretty toxic to the liver and can cause damage to liver cells, which lead to inflammation and scarring. This is why we sometimes see a direct association with the introduction of an oral and seeing a really big turn in digestion at the same time. We also see potentially anabolics causing the formation of a gallstone, which can block the bile duct and lead to cholestasis. Why do anabolic steroids in the oral form
feels really tight in there.
So why do oral anabolics cause this? It's because of 17 alpha alkylation, really fancy way of saying this drug can now withstand liver metabolism pretty well. It's just a way that we add an alkyl group in the form of a methyl usually to the structure of the steroid, which is really good for the steroid, but really tough on the liver. It increases bioavailability a lot, but it can lead to a lot of liver damage, and that can eventually disrupt our flow in bile. Now, it's not only oral anabolics that do this. There are other medications that are pretty intense on the liver. Tylenol is one. High doses, long-term use can actually lead to liver inflammation and liver damage. Some NSAIDs like Advil, Motrin, Aleve can, in some cases, cause liver damage. There are specific antibiotics that can do this. Some anti-seizure, anti-convulsion medication. Antifungal medication is also a really common one. Diflucan is one that we see a lot of liver stress associated with the use of that. Some statins can cause this, chemotherapy drugs, and then some immunosuppressive drugs as well. So it's not always associated with the oral steroids. It could be some medications that somebody could be taking on the regular. This is where Tudca really shines. Tudca is a bile acid. It's naturally produced by the body, but it's also available as a dietary supplement. Tudca works really well because it is a bile acid. So it can actually emulsify fat. It can actually help you digest fat when you take it. because it helps with breaking a really big fat globule into small fat droplets, which are a lot easier to digest. But Tudca can also improve gallbladder function, and it also has anti-inflammatory properties, which can reduce inflammation in the gut and improve your digestion. And then, of course, where a lot of people know Tudca is supporting liver function and protecting against liver damage. So in some cases, if there's a liver health issue that's caused by a functional impairment to the liver cell, Tudca can be a very good way to help promote the flow of bile. And that's where our liver product comes into play. Liver is not only, for liver support, it could potentially even help digestion issues that somebody could be dealing with. If we look what's inside of this supplement, we have Tudca, we have milk thistle, and NAC as kind of our highlights. Now, Tudca will support efficient bile production and also aid us in fat digestion. Milk thistle protects liver cells against toxins and other oxidative stress. And then NAC is in this product because it's a precursor to glutathione, and that is going to help contribute to the body's ability to synthesize that antioxidant. Glutathione really shines in its way of aiding liver health and detoxification, protecting against oxidative stress, supporting fat metabolism, reducing inflammation, and promoting cell repair and regeneration. So these products work kind of synergistically to help liver cell regeneration, enhance gallbladder function and bile flow, and then aid in the overall detoxification of the liver. So if somebody were to potentially have a fat digestion issue, we could use liver, about 1 serving a day, digest aid, 1 capsule per meal. And then we can use ox bile. Ox bile is a good product to use in these situations because it provides us bile which is extracted from cows. And the reason why it's beneficial to be used at times is because bile acids from cows are structurally very similar to the bile we produce. So it can help us a lot with fat digestion if somebody is having an issue regarding that. And that is the end of that.